live. Med Spa Marketing Insiders. Hope you're doing well. Alec, welcome, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good,
Excited,
man.
excited to be here.
Yeah. So, Alec, I don't think you haven't jumped on any of these lives yet, have you?
No, I haven't.
So,
I've
Alec,
just been watching.
watching from afar, creeping.
Yeah,
Now, Alec
creep.
handles how if we have any clients in this group, I think we do. You obviously know Alec. He handles all the ads, all the client management, the weekly calls. He's a freaking ninja when it comes to Facebook advertising and media buying. So, Alec, man, welcome. I'm excited. So today we are going to talk essentially how to convert up to 300% more clients from online leads, which is a real big key term nowadays, to actually paying clients is what really matters and what you guys really need to be focusing on. So, Alec, man, how's life?
Life is good. We were just talking about this yesterday because in the past year, I switched from basically being on calls weekly with every single client. And just from that, learning all the things that, some of the stuff we're going to talk about, but being on those calls, being on, over 1,000 calls in the past year has just taught a lot about basically the challenges of converting leads online. And as everybody knows, if you've been doing this for a while, you've seen like the transformation of the internet. And also, if you haven't been doing it a while, you just know the difference between a referral lead and also like a lead from Facebook or a lead from Instagram or a lead from Google or a lead from your website. There's a major difference between the entire process of the lead management process.
Yeah. And I mean, one thing that I use personally on our sales calls, it's like, hey, how did you hear about us? That's usually the first thing that I'll ask. And I usually know, but having the prospect and the client tell you like, oh, great, I've heard great things about you. Rebecca sent us over your info. Then it's like, that's a whole different process than they saw your ad on Facebook and, they don't know really anything about you. They saw a deal that you were promoting. That's two totally different conversations. So getting some background info really, really helps you understand where they're coming from and really the pain points that they're going to need to overcome to essentially purchase from you.
Yeah, so the same challenges are extremely similar across. It's not even just specific to medical spas, injectionists, body contouring, laser. I mean, it's across the board for any type of online marketing. It's the same for us. Like the stuff that I've dealt with on sales calls or prospecting, all of these challenges essentially are the same. And I mean, so the upside is that you're able to grow your business through paid advertising and online outreach. But the challenge that's associated with it is that it's a lot harder to convert people who don't know you. So you get them interested and you try to educate them, you try to get them to know you better and to have a good feel for you so that they can actually come in, because you're taking somebody who didn't know you at all. They might have been interested in the service, and then you're taking them to be comfortable coming in and essentially having you do some type of procedure on them, whether it's Botox, injections, body contouring, laser treatments, anything like that, which is pretty personal. So it's kind of like you're overcoming the challenge of taking somebody who doesn't know you at all and having them trust you enough to essentially do some type of procedure on them and affect their body or inject something into their body.
Hopefully in a good way.
Yeah.
And one thing I didn't mention in the beginning, Alec, he said, just kind of we're going to be given a freebie at the end. If you are curious, we'll share how to essentially get our scripts that we give the clients. Alec, you want to talk more about that and the value add for everybody?
Yeah, if you want to, I just created a new script to convert the leads. We have one, I just updated it. So if you want that script on like basically what we would give to our clients on converting the leads. Just comment below convert, and I can send that script over. But it's essentially just built out to understanding, like, one of the main things that I realize is that every client that we work with can be anywhere on a range of extremely experienced, has read sales books, like been to seminars, like understands like really the entire process and psychology of like the sales behind it, which a lot of times we're not so focused on, as we're trying to be the best injectionists. We're trying to we're not really focused on the sales aspect of things. We're trying to be the best at what we do and not necessarily the best at getting people in the door. So providing a script and kind of going over it can be really useful to understanding, like, what are the important things to do when you're calling somebody who's never talked to you before and trying to get them to come in and become a new client that hopefully stays around for a long time.
Yeah. And I mean, it's so valuable. I mean, you touched on a really good point. It's like most of our clients they're not salespeople, and salespeople has a bad rap, but you need to grow in business. You have to have some sort of sales ability, especially over the phone with, a lot of things being internet based now. So this script is once again, if you want it, comment down convert in the comments below. If you want it, we'll send that over to you. But this will give you a basic outline of like what we've learned on these 1,000 calls and the clients we've dealt with, where it's like essentially to get you from point A to point B, where you're comfortable on the phone, you portray confidence, because like Alex said, it's a very intimate procedure that these people are going to be getting the treatment. So they need to know who you are, they need to like you, and they need to trust you. And having a script, just a basic kind of script, is going to go a very, very long way. So yeah, man, that's super valuable. I appreciate you for putting that together.
Yeah, one of the other things I think about too is that, like, a lot of times we feel uncomfortable with the idea of getting better at sales because we just feel like our work should speak for itself and we shouldn't feel like we have to influence anybody to do anything. But when it comes down to it, not being good at sales, if you are really good at what you do, if like, for example, if you think you're the best injectionist in your city and you treat your clients with respect, everybody, you love what you do, everything like that, it's kind of your duty to be good, to become better at sales, because if you don't capture that person, they could go down the street to somebody who doesn't do a good job on them and messes up their face, messes up doesn't do a good job with the procedure. So if that person happens to be better at sales and they're doing maybe more advertising, they have they put more emphasis on their sales and they get that person, well, then it's essentially our duty, if we believe in our services, to make sure that we properly sell our services and bring people in, and make sure that if you're good at what you do, that person goes to you and does not go down the street to somebody else.
Yep. Yeah. And that's a good point. I think Grant Cardone said it's my duty and obligation to, I can't remember the ending, but essentially to provide my service to as many people as possible.
Yeah. I don't know what, I think I might have read. Yeah. I don't know where I got that from. I don't think it was Grant, but
yeah, maybe not.
So
yeah, go ahead.
Essentially what I'm going to do though is, like, so after being on so many calls, we're going to talk about some of the feedback that we get, and then kind of the lessons and changes that we make from that feedback. And there's very consistently 2 or 3 main pieces of feedback. I mean, I could probably continue to list off more, like 15, but you're getting really technical with them. A lot of them are with the CRM or certain ways that people word things. But one of the main pieces of feedback that I got or that I get on calls, or that I've received over time, is that the lead quality is not good. And that is something that's really, really common. And when I first heard it, starting out when I started getting on weekly calls, I was like, well, it's Facebook ads, so the volume, it's, that's kind of typical that, you're more focused on volume than you are on the quality. But then I realized that it wasn't just about the quality of the leads. When I started to actually go through the client's accounts and like spend time doing deep dives in their accounts and seeing at what times they were calling and seeing like at what times the leads are booking and starting connecting dots, I realized that it's not really about the lead quality as much as it's about the lead management, like the follow-up of the leads.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's like for Facebook, it's a quantity game. It's a numbers game. And the follow-up and the lead management, just like you said, that's really where you differentiate yourself and where you differentiate, from your competitors. It's like, okay, how many follow-up, how many touch points? Because you and I both know that it takes about 8 different touch points for somebody to purchase from you. That could be a text, that could be a call, that could be a voicemail, that could be them seeing another ad from you. 8 different touch points before somebody essentially purchases from you. So for us, we've automated a lot of that, and we know that from a marketing perspective. But for us, it's like Alex said, the lead quality is not good, but it's like, okay, how many times have you called this person? How many times have you texted? How quickly have you got to the lead? Like I want to say it's like, I think you mentioned this to me, like within 5 minutes of the lead putting their info in is really that kind of sweet spot. Your average closing goes up, I think 70%. It's just a timing issue at that point. So, and we get it. It's like not everybody is sitting by their computer and sitting by their phone. So that's why we do a lot of stuff in our software and some automations that we have for our clients that essentially helps shave that time off and get in contact with them immediately and say, hey, thanks for your input. Somebody will be in contact with you very shortly. Just having that immediate response makes people feel like, oh, okay, like I'm doing the right thing. I'm making the right decision.
Yeah. So, and it depends on your practice situation. Like some people work with, it's basically a one-person show, and some people have office managers and other people that do the phone calls. So each of those have different lead management processes. It's something that I've kind of understood is that some people are able to call immediately if they have like like an office manager that's primarily their job and they're full-time. And that's great. Then their conversion rate will likely be better because they will be calling all of the leads. We have it set up differently, just basically trying to make it as easy as possible. But one of the things is that one of the lessons that I saw once I started doing the deep dives was that a lot of times there's I would hear the lead quality is not good. And then I would start going through the leads. And then I realized that many of the leads were either only contacted once, but frequently a lot of the leads were never contacted at all. And even though we have, I'll get into like the lessons and changes in a second, but frequently they were never contacted at all. And many times the leads would either be contacted only through text or a few days late, or it's basically just really not organized with like the system of following up. So the lessons essentially is that following up is like 90%. So even though we started with the 5 touch point system, now there's all combined, there's about 25 touch points. And what a touch point is like text, emails, automated calls. We added in like 6 appointment reminders. And one of the most recent changes is we added call linking. So it's basically like as soon as a prospective client requests a time on the calendar, it'll automatically call the client's phones. It'll say the people's name, it'll say the time that they're requesting, and it'll say like press 1 to connect. So it's like instant. So everybody, if we send an email saying like, oh, this person requested this time, can you review it? It might get missed, it might get lost. So maybe 3 or 4 hours later, you might try to call them. And at that point, maybe they're at work, or maybe they're at their kid's soccer practice or something. So right then and there, like having that call link is like a really seamless transition. That's one of the changes that we made. But ultimately, it goes into like making sure we understand like the lead management process. And sometimes there can be a little bit of dysfunction if there's an office manager, and then there's the injectionist, and then there's the owner, and then there's me, and then there's the team, and then there's the system. Like everybody kind of understanding who's doing what and when to step in where, and if somebody got contacted or not. But a lot of times the lead quality is low. Like lead quality is going to be lower from Facebook than from Google or from a referral, generally speaking. But the advantage is the volume that you're able to do. So if you really hone in your system, you can turn that volume and like way up and essentially just completely book out your practice. So that's the advantage, but the challenge is that we're essentially taking somebody from being interested in a service but not knowing you to coming in and being a client. So they've never worked with you before. They probably have never heard of you. They just are interested in whatever service that you're making an offer for. So you're taking them from like no understanding of you, no comfortability with you, to comfortable enough to come in and get whatever service it is done.
Yeah, and what I want to circle back because you kind of glazed over it, man. What Alec was talking about with the call linking, it's freaking awesome. Like we talked about this last night, and I was like, dude, this is awesome. Like we need to shout this from the rooftops. So essentially, from let's just say I'm the med spa aesthetic practice business owner. Whenever a lead comes in, you are going to get a call, and it is going to say new booking request from Jane Smith. And then it'll be like, press 1 to bridge the call to the prospect. You hit 1, it dials the prospect immediately. So all you have to do is answer the phone and then talk to them, go through the script that we're going to give you. Once again, comment down below, convert. And then, that just makes your life way, way easier. It's like answer the phone, press 1, close the deal, answer questions.
Yeah, it also includes the time and date that they're requesting the appointment though. So it'll say, so you're not so you're not like, oh, what time did they request? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll say like, booking request from name, and then like date and time of the appointment, press 1 to connect.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. That's going to be a game changer. Yeah. I mean, that's freaking, I'm excited if you can't tell.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that we put into implementation last week. I've gotten a lot of good feedback about it this week. So the updates, so basically on our weekly calls, a lot of it's feedback, but also a lot of it's coaching. So like, and again, I'm not plugging anything here. So this is really just us kind of like pulling back the curtain and being like, this is what we're doing. This is the lessons that we're learning. And like this, if you are working with doing your own ads or working with an ads agency, or just trying to figure out how to better convert people from online, this is all just information for that. I'm not plugging to work with us. So just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah.
Essentially the updates that I made was, at first I was just using the calls for feedback mostly. Like I was just mostly getting on the calls just to be like, oh, like how's everything going? How have you seen anybody? Are the leads, blah, blah, just chat it like, how are the kids, stuff like that. Then I realized, okay, like I'm going to have to start like really coaching on sales and like going through and kind of holding people, either the team or like usually the team, accountable for what they're doing. So that's not something that's kind of abnormal for a quote unquote marketing agency to do something like that. But for us, our client success is our success. So if our clients do better, they'll stick around longer, they'll send us referrals, so like it's really important for us to make sure that they're successful.
And I mean, in that case, like it can be very uncomfortable. Like if you're not following up enough, and we see that, and we have software to back up the data, like we're going to know, like we're going to be like, hey, look, you need to call these people quicker. You for the past 10 people that have booked an appointment, you've waited a day. Like it's not going to cut it. So we know what it takes to be successful, but it's just getting the clients and to actually do the to be committed and to really, you know, hone in on their skills and grow their business.
Yeah, I mean, because it's the difference. It can be the difference between making $0 and making $20,000 a month from the advertising. It's like, it's everything. So if you don't answer the phone, I'll see it. Like, if you don't call people back, if you don't answer, if we're asking you, because we have our team and they're also responding to people, getting things scheduled and stuff like that, they'll let me know if somebody's not responding to them. So it's really like we're shoulder to shoulder trying to make sure it's successful. But that was something that I learned, is that I can't just be getting feedback. I also have to be essentially going into it, getting on the calls and giving coaching, like essentially like giving like actionable advice on either closing people or following up with people or
Yeah.
things like that. So that was one of the things I realized is, okay, like I'm nice and I really want to be successful, or I want the clients to be successful. But if I can't, I'm not being nice if I'm not giving any feedback myself on what they're doing and going through and being like, you know, you got 10 booking requests this past week and you only called one of them. Like, a lot of people would be surprised, but sometimes a lot of people invest into marketing, and it's really more about the idea of investing into themselves and knowing that they should be doing it, but not really maximizing it. So my goal is to always be like, all right, listen, like we've got an investment here, like let's make sure to get something out of it. And then essentially like that feedback loop of like taking the feedback, implementing it, improving the system, talking to them about it, coaching them through it, and then that kind of like cycle has allowed everything to improve in effectiveness. It allows the clients to get better at utilizing the CRM and better at converting. Also allows me to improve the CRM. As they get more comfortable with the CRM, they'll give me more feedback about the system, and then I'll include. You know, it's basically like everybody's leveling up because of this feedback loop that is being created.
Yeah, and it's I mean, it can be constructive criticism. I mean, same thing with us. Like if you don't like something, like we're completely open to it and changing and tweaking the system. But yeah, I mean, that's a real big differentiator for us. It's like we'll show you exactly how to do it because we've been there, done that. And you know, it's like, okay, you know, adapt, or like here's the roadmap, here's the blueprint, like let's follow it together, because if you win, we win, and you know, it continues to level everybody up.
Right. And so the second piece of feedback that's very similar to the first part, but a little bit different in how it affected what we've done, is the leads are not answering. So that's a really, really common piece of feedback. The leads are not answering. We called them, they didn't answer. We left a voicemail, we didn't hear from them, whatever. And it's the same kind of process of being like, okay, well, maybe the lead quality isn't that great. And then after doing some, again, deep dives into the accounts, going through, seeing at what times people are being called, at what times they're booking, it started to, while part of this, the leads are not answering, we have systems in place for this to follow up with people. Of course, like having so many touch points allows for a lot of the work to be on the CRM and not on us or not on the clients, but about 90% of the leads will fill out forms and request booking times between 3 very specific parts of the day. So I realized that a lot of times that the clients were not calling during these time windows. They would call during the time windows that they were at working. So a lot of people will fill out the forms at somewhere between 6 and 8 a.m., somewhere between 12 and 1, and then somewhere between like 6 to 8 p.m. So that before work, lunch break, after work. But a lot of the practices will be calling during the times that these people are also at work. So, you get to the practice, you see you have 2 leads, or maybe you have some booking requests. Okay, I'm going to call them. It's 10 a.m. They're at work. They don't answer, leave a voicemail, whatever. Sometimes people forget. Sometimes people don't get back to you. They're still at a stage where they don't really know you very well. So they're still like not at the stage of being totally comfortable. So we'll continue to follow up and send them educational materials and all this stuff. But
What do
the
you,
main thing,
yeah, what do you suggest for that? I mean, everybody's got a life, like, we get it. Everybody's busy. Like, if 90% are coming through before work, lunch break, and after work, I mean, would you suggest calling? I mean, obviously as quickly as possible, but if that doesn't work, would you wait till the lunch break if you got it that morning?
yeah. So from what I've seen, unless we do the call linking, a lot of times there's a pretty big lag behind calling the leads, and it's not necessarily, it depends on what we're doing, but like I said, I understand that some people are just a one-person show. A lot of people are they're trying to expand, they have other jobs, they're not constantly around to be like, oh, new lead, boom, call them. So if it's possible to call them immediately, that's great. But if you're not able to do that, like let's say you have a full-time job and you're trying to build, let's say your Botox clients, you're trying to build out your Botox clients, but you already have a full-time job doing whatever, but you're trying to build out your personal. During your lunch break, you should probably call the leads and after work. So if I would set aside like 1 or 2 times per day that you will specifically sit down and go through and be like, okay, did I get any new leads today? Did I get any new booking requests today? During the times that people are active, which is before work, lunch break, after work. Because if you're going to be calling them during the time that you're working, because they're also going to be working. So the chances of you catching them are going to be really low. So the feedback was the leads aren't answering. And then looking at the times that the leads are active versus when the clients are active are not matching up. If you're calling somebody while they're at work, they're not going to answer if they're good, I guess, like if they're actually working. But it's also, you can call people on the weekends too. That's a great time to call people. Is like Saturday mornings is a good time. So setting aside specific times to call, if you can call people immediately, that's great. But also setting aside times, being like, okay, I'm going to set aside 30 minutes to try to follow up with leads at noon. And I'm going to set aside 30 minutes at 6 o'clock. And I know that can be pretty inconvenient sometimes, but I mean, like I said, this stuff like this can be the difference between making $5,000 from 50 leads to making $30,000. Like if you're calling every single lead, you're calling them immediately, and you're also calling them during times where they have breaks, and you have the system on the back end, and you're doing all of these things, your conversion rate is going to be much, much higher than somebody who's just calling people when they get time, maybe not calling them at all and just expecting that people are just going to walk in when they've never spoken to you, they've never seen you, they've never worked with you, they don't know anybody who's worked with you, but they're not going to just like waltz in and be like, oh, whatever, like I don't care.
I saw your ad.
Yeah, unless you're offering like $6 a unit. then they'll like just waltz in, but it's essentially like, Groupon. Like
Yeah.
there's no like, you're selling, you're getting people to know, like, trust you. And if you have the best offer in the area, people will just walk in. But if you don't have the best offer in the area and you're trying to like build a sustainable customer base or client base, you're gonna have to make people know, like, and trust you, and it's a process.
Yeah, and you're selling a service. It's service and experience. It's not. We always say, like, you don't want to be the Groupon aesthetic practice. Like that's
Right.
not the ideal customer. That's not really the ideal customer to really build a great patient base. So, I mean, I think for me, it's like the biggest thing is understanding this, and it's like I'd say 90% of the people watching this don't understand, like, oh, okay, like I call them immediately, call them on the breaks when they're on break as well. I think just understanding that will put you a huge leg up on your competition. Because I mean, your competition is, I hate to scare you, but they're calling immediately, and they're following up multiple times in the right time windows. So yeah, I mean, that's really big, just understanding it first and then taking action to make it better.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you're, there's always big practices pretty much in every area. I mean, some people think they don't have competition, but usually what I find is that once I start looking around, there's competition. And the bigger the budgets they have, I mean, they're gonna have potentially call centers. So if you're competing, like you're gonna be competing for business, for new business, and you want to grab more market share. So of course, advertising budget's going to affect that, but really it's more about maximizing what you're already doing rather than getting more leads. You know, going from 50 to 200 leads, if you're converting at 5%, is not that big deal. But if you're going from 50 leads at 5% conversion to 30% conversion, like that's it. You didn't spend any more money. You just converted better because you were a little bit more a little bit more knowledgeable, a little bit more skilled. And that's really the goal, is like increase the conversion rate and then increase the advertising budget. I mean, it could be easy for us to just to say like, oh yeah, let's just increase the advertising budget. But for us, that doesn't improve the return on investment. So it's like, we could just say like, oh, let's increase the advertising budget and you'll get more leads. But really what I want is to increase the conversion rate so that I can say like, oh, the return on investment here is more significant. If we just increase the advertising budget, it's not gonna make that happen. But I think that there was one more thing. I don't remember. I just thought about it while we were talking right now.
I hate when that happens. Yeah, I mean, like what Alex said, if there's a hole in the boat, like instead of shoveling the water out of the boat, like try and fix the hole first, then get the water out of the boat.
Yeah. So, shoot, I can't remember. It was
a good point.
Yeah, it was. Whatever. I guess. I don't remember what it was. I just thought about it while we were talking. Oh, a lot of times what I would go over, and this is something that's like kind of in the script, is one of the main things that I saw that clients would do when calling people is not taking control of the call. So this is like the third main piece of feedback that I didn't necessarily receive, but I just saw, is not taking control of the call the difference between calling and saying, hey, is this Jane? Oh, hey, this is Alec with Raplight Media, Medical Spa, whatever. I saw that you requested this. Is there any questions I can answer? That versus, hey, this is Alec with Raplight Media Medical Spa. I saw that you claimed our offer of $10 a unit. Do you have like a couple minutes right now? So I just ask you a couple questions and make sure that you have everything you need. So now instead of asking them, do you have questions? You're in the control of asking the questions and moving the conversation along. So if you immediately give them control on the call, you're going to say like, they can just start asking the questions and you're not getting any feedback. So it's not going to help you figure out, have you ever done Botox before? When's the most recent time you've done it? Usually, what do you pay per unit? Why are you looking for a new person if you've done it before? How soon are you looking to come in? Which part of your face are you looking to get? Okay, that's probably going to be this many units. When can I get you to come in? Blah, blah, blah. Boom. You schedule an appointment and you just got all the feedback that you needed. To like, asking the questions will give you the feedback that you need to get them to come in. If you don't know anything about them, one, they're not going to feel like they trust you, because just trying to get them to come in without actually knowing anything about them is going to subconsciously make them feel like you don't know them. And two, they just asked you a bunch of questions, but you weren't able to use anything that they've said to basically tell them why they should come in and why they should work with you, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, that's genius. Getting in the driver's seat, steering the conversation. One thing I would add to that is like, if you have a lot of people that, maybe you're waiting a couple hours, whatever, like getting them to buy in, that's a big part of it. It's like, hey, I saw you claim your $10 Botox unit. Does that ring a bell? Like, does that ring a bell? And they'll be like, yeah, like, yeah. And then it's like, boom. Okay. First, yes. Like the goal is to get a string of yeses in a row to build trust. Cause it's hard to do. It's a science over the phone. And one thing that I wrote down as you were talking about that, it's like the potential client will tell you exactly what they want to hear. Like if you ask the right questions, they will tell you exactly how to close them and for them to become a client. And that's really it. But it all comes with asking questions on the front end and driving a conversation versus just being like, hey, what questions do you have? Like,
yeah, how can I help you? And it's very natural for us to do that. When we have somebody that says they're interested in what we're doing, we're kind of like, okay, like, I want them to get comfortable. So let me give them the opportunity to ask me questions so that they get comfortable. In reality, that's actually not really what makes people feel comfortable. You can answer all their questions after asking them. So
yep.
If you ask them, like, you'll find their questions, but essentially by you asking them, one, they'll be the teacher or the authority, the person that should be trusted. If they're asking you a bunch of questions, they essentially like consciously or psychologically have the power in the relationship. And then it makes them harder to trust you because you're essentially just answering questions that they have. And instead of asking questions and diving into them, they're diving into you. And then it's hard for you to be like, it's not like impossible to set appointments this way or to get people to come in, but psychologically it matters because now you're making them feel like, okay, this person understands me. They're asking me questions. They're giving me feedback to my answers. Okay, like, yeah, I can work with them versus I don't know anything about this person. I just asked them a bunch of questions. They don't know anything about me. Or maybe I know about this person, but they don't know anything about me. So why should I, by the time you get to asking them if they want to schedule an appointment, why should they come in? Because they don't feel like you understand them. And that's really it. Really the main thing that I see with actually calling the leads and talking to them is that too often people will just say, how can I help you? What questions did you have? How can I get you started? Whatever. And then the lead asks a bunch of questions. And then for the prospective client asks a bunch of questions. And then there's no real ability to get them to say like, okay, well, last time you got Botox was a year ago. You had a really bad experience. You got something on Groupon, a $7 per unit offer. Like, I completely understand. Like, I get it. Everybody's out trying to get deals. But what it comes down to is like, you can read my reviews. You can see all the clients I work with. I take, even though I charge $12 a unit, whatever it is, I really make sure like that investment, I'm injecting something into your face. Like that investment is like really important. This is not like you're
don't
getting
cheap
tires.
Out on it.
Yeah. You're not getting tires, like a lot of times when we get tires, we're like not exactly trying to go get Michelin tires, but you're having somebody inject something into your face that everybody's going to see. So this is not necessarily something that you should be bargain shopping for. But I would love for you to come in. Do you have any time? I have a few availabilities on Friday and Saturday this week. Do any of those times work for you? Yes. Okay. Like, let me send you over. Can I get a deposit? I'm just going to send you a link to make a deposit to, secure your appointment, whatever it is. But it's completely different than when you're saying they're asking you questions. It's kind of awkward. It's really natural to start off the calls that way, but it becomes actually uncomfortable.
Yeah. And just, setting the agenda up front, like, hey, just saw you submitted your info, a booking request for Tuesday at 10. I just wanted to call, answer a couple questions, get some info from you, and then hopefully book you into our full calendar. Something like that to set the agenda. Because as soon as people understand that you're in the driver's seat, they'll let you drive majority of the time. It's like they can sense the confidence over the phone, and this script that will once again, comment, convert down below, and we'll send it to you. The script will definitely help you get to that point, even if you don't work with us. Like we're here to share value and give you tips to make more money in your aesthetic business, and that's really it. I know this was kind of a longer conversation. I think we're at about 30 some minutes, but I mean, this is so valuable for anybody starting out, looking to scale. And even, some of the experts in the field could probably learn something from what we just went through.
Yep. I hope
anything
so.
else, man?
No, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, of course, we're going to have other calls over other things, but these are like some of the main points of converting a much higher percentage of leads, calling people during the times that they're active, either getting to them quickly and following up with people. It's not really about the lead quality, it's about the quality of follow-up, and getting people comfortable, because a lot of people are just like, this person said they're interested in my business, but now they're not answering the phone. Like, what's the deal? And it's really like, you're taking somebody that didn't know anything about you to be a new client, and generally these people are going to stick around. So you're taking somebody from not knowing you at all to being a new client and allowing you to do some type of procedure on their body. So it's kind of a big deal. And so approaching it with that mindset of, I'm trying to get people comfortable with me, that is different than oh, this person said they're interested in working with me. Why aren't they just walking in the door? I got 100 leads. Why didn't 100 people come in? So,
Ooh.
You're taking people that don't know you and turning them they're coming in and trusting you with their body and their money. So approaching it from that perspective is huge. And then also, taking control of the calls, calling people at the times that they're going to answer. And then also everything is in the follow-up. Those are really the main things.
Yeah, one thing that we've got to end. If you've done everything up to this point, really the last step is to close it. Ask for the sale. Yeah. One thing is have a couple preloaded times that work. It's okay, does Tuesday at 10 a.m. or Wednesday at 5 p.m. work better for you to get you on our calendar? And it's a multiple choice. It's does this one or does this one work better? Versus if you don't ask for the close at the end, they're going to be like, okay, I'll call you back when I'm ready to schedule. You're in the driver's seat, give them 2 preloaded times, and then be like, okay, great. Got you in at Tuesday at 10. If you take a deposit, do it right there, send them a link, however you handle that. But asking for the sale, if you've done everything up to that point, that's just the cherry on top.
Yeah. And you'll know, but that's another good point is giving 2 specific times. That's something that we've done for a long time. Is it basically gives the person the opportunity to look at their calendar and say, okay, I am available at this time. That's a good time for me. Or saying, no, I'm not available at that time, but I am available at that time another day or whatever. If you just say, hey, are you free? Do you want to come in this week? They might say oh yeah, I'm free. I don't know what. It's just a lot. You're basically giving them an opportunity to say, yes, I'm available at that time. No, I'm not available at that time. I'm available. It's more specific. You're asking a more specific question, you're going to get a more specific response. If you ask a broad question, you're going to get a broad response.
Yes, that's gold. That is gold. Well, I think we can leave it at that. I mean, that's a ton of value. Hopefully everybody got value and watched this far. Once again, Alec, I really appreciate it. Comment down below, convert. We'll send that over to you, the sales script that will really help you. And obviously, if you're a client of ours, if you want more info, shoot us a message as well. We can jump on a quick discovery call, see if you'll be a good fit for our business, and get you some more patients. So, anything else, man? Anything else to close it off?
Nope. I got nothing. I hope everybody has a great weekend now.
Man,
including you.
we didn't even mention Alec is in Tulum right now. So
Yeah,
jealous.
working.
So jealous. You're probably looking
Yeah.
at the beach right now, aren't you?
No, I'm actually looking. Somebody's bringing in a new water jug into this office, but it's actually been raining almost all the whole week. Today is the first like nice day, and we will also be interviewing somebody from here that that'll be in the coming weeks. It'll be about community and growth in the aesthetics world. But yeah, I woke up this morning, I did yoga on the beach, and then I got to work. It's actually funny being here is like I've been working a lot this week, particularly when it rains. I just try to take advantage of that, be like, okay, like
Dude, you're probably
so
more productive there. Like
I am.
Yeah.
I am more productive because I'm also surrounded by people who are doing very similar things to me. So
Yeah. Cool, man. Really appreciate everybody watching. Alec, appreciate you. I think that's it. We'll be doing more content, more lives in the weeks to come. Other than that, take care. Go out and crush it.
yeah, y'all have a great weekend.